Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is Renuka with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister to leave for United States tomorrow, expected to discuss radicalization, terrorism and developments in Afghanistan during bilateral talks with President Joe Biden. India and France review increasing bilateral collaboration in Indo-Pacific region, stress on promoting stability and security in the region. States will get full support from central government to increase agriculture production and productivity, says Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar. Centre says record food grain production of 150.5 million tonnes estimated in Kharif season. Over 81 crore 85 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. National recovery rate stands at 97.75%. Vanijya Utsav showcasing India as a rising economic force being held across the country. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals lock horns with Punjab Kings at Dubai. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is underway, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also help others get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will leave for the United States tomorrow. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi will meet US President Joe Biden in Washington and will also address the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Speaking to reporters today ahead of the Prime Minister's visit, Foreign Secretary Harshvardhan Shringla said during their in-person talks in Washington, Mr. Modi and Mr. Biden are expected to deliberate on ways to bolster bilateral ties in trade, investment, defense and security.
The Prime Minister will participate in the COVID-19 Global Summit as well, hosted by President Biden tomorrow. At their bilateral meeting on the 24th of September, the Prime Minister and President Biden will review the robust and multifaceted India-US bilateral relationship. They will also discuss how the comprehensive strategic global partnership between our 2 countries can be enriched. The 2 leaders are expected to discuss how to bolster bilateral trade and investment ties, strengthen defense and security collaboration, boost the strategic clean energy partnership, explore new avenues in emerging technologies, including through R&D, innovation and industry linkages.
Mr. Shringla said ways to tackle radicalization and terrorism besides major regional issues, including developments in Afghanistan, are likely to figure during the bilateral talks between Prime Minister Modi and President Biden.
The bilateral meeting would also feature current regional security situation following recent developments in Afghanistan, our stakes as a neighbor and a long-standing and preferred development partner of the people of Afghanistan. In this context, we would undoubtedly discuss the need to stem radicalism, extremism, cross-border terrorism and the dismantling of global terrorist networks.
Mr. Modi will also meet US Vice President Kamala Harris, replying to a question on the recent security partnership AUKUS between Australia, the United Kingdom and the United States and its possible impact on Quad, which is composed of the United States, Australia, India and Japan. The Foreign Secretary said the AUKUS and Quad are 2 groups and not similar in nature. Mr. Shringla said, besides holding bilateral talks with the US leaders, the Prime Minister will participate in the first in-person summit of the Quad at Washington that is expected to broadly focus on contemporary global and regional issues. He said Mr. Modi will have bilateral meetings with his Japanese and Australian counterparts. Mr. Shringla said the Quad Summit is expected to provide a valuable opportunity for dialogue and interactions among the leaders anchored in their shared vision of ensuring a free, open and inclusive Indo-Pacific. In Washington, the Prime Minister will also meet a number of top executives of major American companies. After concluding his engagements in Washington, the Prime Minister will travel to New York and is scheduled to address the general debate of the high-level segment of the 76th session of the United Nations General Assembly on the 25th of this month. In reply to a question, the Foreign Secretary said the non-recognition of Covishield is a discriminating policy and impacts our citizens travelling to the United Kingdom. He said the External Affairs Minister has raised the issue strongly with the new UK Foreign Secretary, Liz Truss, during their talks in New York, and assurances have been given that this issue will be resolved.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today held a telephonic conversation with French President Emmanuel Macron. The two leaders discussed regional issues, including recent developments in Afghanistan. In this context, they shared their concerns about possible spread of terrorism, narcotics, illicit weapons, and human trafficking, as well as the need to ensure human rights, rights of women and minorities. They reviewed the increasing bilateral collaboration in the Indo-Pacific region and the important role that the India-France partnership plays in promoting stability and security in the region. The leaders agreed to maintain close and regular consultations in the spirit of the India-France strategic partnership, which both countries cherish deeply. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said he spoke to the French President on the situation in Afghanistan. He said both also discussed closer collaboration between India and France in the Indo-Pacific. The Prime Minister said India places great value on the strategic partnership with France, including the United Nations Security Council. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar today said that the centre is fully committed to support the states to increase production and productivity and to face the challenges posed by climate change and rain-fed agriculture. Inaugurating the National Conference on Agriculture for Rabi Campaign 2021-22 through video conferencing, Mr. Tomar said, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has always aimed to protect and support farmers, and several steps have been taken to make farmers self-reliant Atmanirbhar. He urged the states to use water, electricity and fertilizers judiciously and to use nano-urea, which is less costly and beneficial for land fertility. The minister said that Krishi Vigyan Kendras, KVKs, should reach out to the small farmers so that they can benefit from various schemes of the government. He said the state should also ensure that PM Kisan and Kisan Credit Card KCC should reach every farmer. Mr. Tomar informed that more than 2.25 crore KCCs have been distributed, through which farmers have been given loans of more than 2.25 lakh crore rupees. The Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare today released the first advance estimates of production of major kharif crops for 2021-22. Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar said that the record food grain production of 150.5 million tons is estimated in kharif season. He said that there has been bumper production due to hard work of farmers, proficiency of scientists and farmer-friendly policies of the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. As per first advance estimates for 2021-22, kharif total food grain production in the country is higher by 12.71 million tons than the average food grain production of previous 5 years.
In a major boost to export prospects of agricultural produce, India has achieved a significant increase of 21.8% in export of agricultural and processed food products in April to August 2021-22 in comparison to the corresponding period of 2020-21. The quick estimates have been released by the Directorate General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics. The overall export of APIDA products increased from $6,485 million in April to August 2020 to $7,902 million in April to August 2021. This rise in exports has been achieved notwithstanding COVID-19 restrictions. The Commerce Ministry said the significant spike in agri-exports is seen as a testimony to the government's commitment to increase farmers' income through giving thrust on boosting exports of agricultural and processed food products of the country. The Ministry of Education today formed the National Steering Committee for the Development of National Curriculum Frameworks. The 12-member committee will be chaired by former Chairman of ISRO, Dr. K. Kasturirangan. As for the perspectives of the NEP 2020, the committee will develop 4 national curriculum frameworks. The committee will discuss different aspects of school education, early childhood care and education, teacher education and adult education, keeping in focus all the recommendations of the NEP 2020 related to these 4 areas for proposing curricular reforms. Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari has emphasized on fixing driving hours for the drivers of commercial vehicles similar to pilots, as it will reduce fatigue-induced road accidents. In a National Road Safety Council meeting today with the non-official co-opted individual members, he directed officers to work on a policy to include onboard sleep detection sensors in commercial vehicles at par with European standards. The Minister directed the Council to meet in every 2 months and share their updates.
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister to leave for United States tomorrow, expected to discuss radicalization, terrorism and developments in Afghanistan during bilateral talks with President Joe Biden. India and France review increasing bilateral collaboration in Indo-Pacific region. Stress on promoting stability and security in the region. States will get full support from the central government to increase agriculture production and productivity, says Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar. Centre says record food grain production of 150.5 million tons estimated in Kharif season. Over 81 crore 85 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. National recovery rate stands at 97.75%. Vanijya Utsav, showcasing India as a rising economic force, being held across the country. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals lock horns with Punjab Kings at Dubai. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the evening news. The government has decided to appoint Air Marshal V.R. Chaudhary, presently Vice Chief of Air Staff, as the next Chief of the Indian Air Force. He will assume charge after the retirement of Air Chief Marshal Rakesh Kumar Singh Bhadoria on the 30th of this month. Air Marshal V.R. Chaudhary was commissioned into the fighter stream of Indian Air Force on the 29th of December 1982 and has held various command, staff and instructional appointments at various levels, including the present one as Vice Chief of Air Staff. Air Marshal Chaudhary is decorated with Param Vishisht Seva Medal, Ati Vishisht Seva Medal and Vayu Sena Medal. Over 81 crore 85 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. A total of 26,115 new cases were reported in the last 24 hours. The recovery rate is currently at 97.75%, which is the highest since March last year. Over 34,469 recoveries were recorded in the last 24 hours, taking the total recoveries to over 3 crore 27 lakh.
In our bilingual live phone-in program, Corona Jagrukta series, Dr. Suryakant from King George Medical University in Lucknow will be with us today to answer the queries related to coronavirus. This live program can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath today said that those responsible for the death of Mahant Narendra Giri would not be spared at any cost. The head of Akhil Bharatiya Akhada Parishad, Mahant Narendra Giri, was found dead under mysterious circumstances at his residence, Bagambari Mutt in Prayagraj yesterday. The Chief Minister, along with several leaders, saints and eminent citizens from all walks of life, reached Baghbari Mutt to pay tributes to the departed soul. Meanwhile, an FIR has been registered under IPC Section 306 relating to the abatement to suicide against his disciple Anand Giri, whose name also surfaces in suicide note in Mahant Narendra Giri's death case.
Two pilots succumbed to their injuries after an army helicopter Cheetah crash-landed near Shivgarh Dhar area of Patnitop in Udhampur district of Jammu division today during a training sortie. DIG Udhampur Riyasi Range Suleiman Chaudhry said after receiving information about the incident, a search team reached the spot. In the meantime, locals evacuated the injured pilots from the site and rushed them to a treatment facility. PRO Defence said one of the deceased was a captain while the other one was a major. Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha saluted the courage and sacrifice of the Braveheart Army officers who laid down their lives in the line of duty at Patnitop. Environment Minister Bhupendra Yadav today announced that India now has 10 international blue flag beaches with the addition of Kovalam and Eden beaches this year and recertification for 8 beaches which got the tag last year. In a tweet, Mr. Yadav said it is another milestone in the journey towards a clean and green India led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Union Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan, advised to work with new ideas and new approaches during the dissemination of information related to all the public welfare schemes of the central government to the general public. Dr. Murugan was addressing a meeting of officials of various media units of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting in Bhopal today. He has come to Bhopal to submit nomination papers as a candidate from Madhya Pradesh in the Rajya Sabha by-election. Dr. Murugan also asked Doordarshan and All India Radio to find ways to become financially self-sufficient. Prasar Bharati's digital network has carved out a niche in the Indian digital media industry by focusing on inclusive growth instead of just revenue-driven growth. Serving the mandate of the public broadcaster even in the digital world, Prasar Bharati's digital platforms in the remotest areas of Northeast have registered significant milestones by together clocking more than 220 million views and 1 million plus subscribers on YouTube. In one such recent landmark achievement, YouTube channel of Doordarshan Aizawl has crossed 1 lakh subscribers. These growths in views and subscribers base are fueled by top quality content in the genres of teleplays, telefilms and films. Multiple Twitter handles of Doordarshan and All India Radio across Northeast region have followers in thousands. Many have blue tick verification from Twitter.
At the domestic stock markets, key indices staged a sharp recovery today after yesterday's fall, and the rupee ended with slight gains against the dollar. A report from the Business World.
At the stock markets, the Sensex at the Bombay Stock Exchange climbed 514 points or 0.9% to end at 59,005 today. The Nifty at the National Stock Exchange advanced 165 points or 1% to 17,562. At the Forex market, the rupee appreciated 13 paise to 73 rupees and 61 paise against the dollar. And at the bullion market, gold shed just 3 rupees to 45,258 rupees per 10 grams in Delhi. And in the international market, Brent crude advanced 68 cents to trade at $74.60 a barrel. Nishit Kumar for AIR News.
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events is being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव।
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. Birth of a nation. India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest movements the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
In today's episode, we remember the great Indian freedom fighter and former Chief Minister of Saurashtra in the present-day Gujarat, Uchang Rai Naval Shankar Dhebar. UN Dhebar was born on this day in 1905 in a hamlet near Jamnagar.
Under the influence of Mahatma Gandhi, Dhebar gave up his legal career to join the Indian independence movement in 1936 in his hometown, Rajkot. Dhebar led the Satyagraha in the princely state of Rajkot between 1938 and 1942 and actively participated in the individual, Satyagrah and Confederation movement.
For his role in the Indian independence movement, he was imprisoned thrice by the British colonial government. Most of the princely rulers engaged in the policy of high taxation, imposing a heavy economic burden on the populace while ignoring the interest of the people.
The British provided them immunity from domestic and external aggression, and in return, the princely rulers used to support the British imperialistic policies, thereby acting against the development of nationalist sentiments. With nationalistic movement rising in India and many revolutionaries fleeing British authority and coming to the princely states in the first and second decades of the 20th century, pro-independence movement also gained ground in the princely states.
Debar emerged as one of the most prominent freedom movement leaders in the princely state of Rajkot.
Debar was instrumental in the creation of United Saurashtra. In October 1947, when the Nawab of Junagadh tried to integrate the state of Junagadh into Pakistan, Debar led the movement from front and declared a total economic boycott, forcing the ruler of Junagadh to go underground.
Later, the boycott method was used by other smaller states, prompting intervention by the Indian government. Thus, with the efforts led by Debar, freeing the powerful Junagadh state from the grip of its autocratic ruler, the path towards a much larger confederation of states became possible. Saurashtra, comprising of total of 202 princely and administrative states, was formed as a state in the Union of India on 15 February 1948, and Debar was appointed as state's first chief minister on the same day.
Talking exclusively to All India Radio, noted Gandhian Anamik Shah shared his thoughts about the heroic struggle led by UN Debar.
देबर भाई ने कानूनी व्यवस्था के अंतर्गत शांत क्रांति करके लैंड रिफॉर्म किए और जो खेती करते हैं उनको ये जमीन मिले ऐसा प्रावधान किया। तो उन्होंने जिनके पास खेती की जमीन है उनके लिए लैंड मॉर्गेज बैंक बनवाया और ये सौराष्ट्र लैंड मॉर्गेज बैंक आज भी चल रही है और बैंक ने जो कृषि लोगों को कर्ज लेना था उनको बैंक से मिलता था जमीन के सामने ऊंचे ब्याज पे बोरो करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती थी।
In 1973, he was awarded India's second highest civilian honor, the Padma Vibhushan Award. We salute the undying spirit of love and sacrifice of this great freedom fighter.
It was on this day in 1949 that the Maharaja of Manipur, Bodh Chandra Singh, signed merger agreement with the Union of India, and as a result of the agreement, the Manipur state merged into the Indian Union as a Part C state with effect from 15th October 1949.
Later, the state was given a substantial measure of local self-government under the Territorial Councils Act of 1956, a legislative body and Council of Ministers in 1963, and full statehood in 1972.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
All India Radio News also brings for its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in Morning News and will continue till the 15th of August 2022. India Post has joined hands as the logistics partner with All India Radio News for the Amrit Mahotsav quiz. Listeners can send their responses to the question over WhatsApp on 8826546262 or through email on amritmahotsavquiz@prasarbharati.gov.in. One lucky participant will be selected as a winner and will be announced in tomorrow's Morning News. Winner will be awarded an e-certificate and a token prize.
स्वाधीनता संग्राम के वे निशान जो साक्षी हैं हमारे सेनानियों के संघर्ष और बलिदान के। आकाशवाणी समाचार ला रहा है विशेष श्रृंखला निशान। हर बुधवार को शाम 4:45 पर कार्यक्रम परिक्रमा में FM गोल्ड 100.1 मेगाहर्ट्ज पर।
A two-day Vanijya Utsav is being held across the country as a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations to mark the 75th year of India's independence. A slew of programs and events are being organized highlighting Atmanirbhar Bharat, showcasing India as a rising economic force and green and Swachh special economic zones. Hand-holding sessions are being organized focusing on from farm to foreign lands and exporter conclaves Vanijya Utsav covering all 739 districts of the country. The event is being organized in collaboration with the Ministry of Commerce, the Director General of Foreign Trade in the partnership of Export Promotion Councils. A Vanijya Saptah is also being observed. Union Minister of State for Textiles, Darshana Jardosh, inaugurated the Vanijya Utsav, showcasing India, a rising economic force, at Ahmedabad in Gujarat today. Speaking on this occasion, the minister said, "It is a matter of great pride to witness the rapid growth and rise of the Indian economy with unprecedented contribution by the textile industry." Addressing the event at Lucknow, Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industries, Anupriya Patel, said, "Despite the COVID pandemic, the exports of the country has increased 67% in last 5 months. She said this is a result of the Prime Minister's Atmanirbhar Bharat, Local for Vocal and Make in India campaigns. Union Minister of State for Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Shobha Karandlaje, inaugurated the Vanijya Utsav at Bengaluru in Karnataka today. Union Minister of State for Commerce and Industry, Som Prakash, virtually inaugurated the event at Kochi today. Addressing the gathering, the minister said, despite global slowdown on account of COVID-19, the country's merchandise exports showed an increasing trend. Addressing the event in Dehradun, Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami said that the state's export policy will be brought soon in the cabinet meeting. He said the main objective of this program is to focus on economic development and promote exports.
In the program Spotlight, News Services Division of All India Radio is broadcasting a special series, Seva aur Samarpan, 20 Saal Sushasan Ke. Today the theme is Yoga and Ayurveda, Healthcare for All and Pride in India's Traditions. It showcases Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership and commitment to health and his efforts to strengthen the traditional systems for a healthy India. This special program can be heard on FM Gold channel and additional frequencies from 9:15 p.m. onwards. In IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals were 164 for 4 in 16 overs against Punjab Kings at the International Stadium in Dubai when reports last came in. Earlier, Punjab Kings won the toss and elected to bowl. Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Temperature will vary between 26 and 33 degrees Celsius. Mumbai is likely to have generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. Kolkata and Chennai are expected to have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. Jammu and Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. In Leh, minimum and maximum temperature will be between 10 to 23 degrees Celsius. Gilgit will have generally cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Muzaffarabad will have thunderstorms. Most of the northeastern cities, including Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong, Aizawl, Kohima, Itanagar and Gangtok, will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. Visakhapatnam will observe a minimum temperature of 26 degrees Celsius, maximum of around 32. And now before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister to leave for United States tomorrow, expected to discuss radicalization, terrorism and developments in Afghanistan during bilateral talks with President Joe Biden. India and France review increasing bilateral collaboration in Indo-Pacific region, stress on promoting stability and security in the region. States will get full support from central government to increase agriculture production and productivity, says Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar. Centre says record food grain production of 150.5 million tons estimated in Kharif season. Over 81 crore 85 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. National recovery rate stands at 97.75%. Vanijya Utsav showcasing India as a rising economic force being held across the country, and at IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals lock horns with Punjab Kings at Dubai. Now with that, we end the evening news. Good night.